I want to talk about this BlackRock thing because Ben Shapiro has made this statement, basically defending BlackRock. And before we get into specifics of Ben Shapiro's statement, I'll pull up his tweet. I believe they have it. I guess they don't have Ben Shapiro's in this.
How do they not?
That's like a weird thing to do. Anyway, but we'll talk about Ben Shapiro's statement. I want to point out I just was denied for a home loan. So this was something I've been working on for the past several months. And I'll leave the details a bit private for now. Maybe I'll talk about it once I get more information from the company that denied. But it's been a weird go of things. So I've been through the mortgage process before. I am very capable of getting a mortgage. My credit is fantastic. My income is fantastic. And they said no. And what I'm learning now, because I tweeted about this, is that they've sent false credit, to my understanding, false credit report information used to stop me from being able to get a loan on a house. It all seems very strange. It's been, I think, 3 months of agents being swapped around, demanding the same documents over and over and over again, maybe like 6 or 7 times. And then when we do, a new person pops up and says, hey, I'm the agent now. Now you got to send it again. It really feels like they're trying to stop us. There was a point where I was like, are we just going to cancel this? Because this is insane. Why won't they just say no? No, that they're really trying to sludge us up so we can't buy. At the same time, you have this viral story about a company called BlackRock, as well as a bunch of other investment firms that are buying up houses, paying 20 to 50% above market. I had a bunch of people tweeting at me in response to this thread, where they're saying things like, one guy says, I wanted to buy a house that was $300K. I had more than enough money in the bank for a decent down payment and closing costs. And then an investment company came in and bid $20,000 above my offer. And I countered and they put another 20. I just couldn't compete with them. So this is the kind of thing that's been happening, shutting out people from being able to buy homes. Now, full disclosure, I'm fine without a lender. I just thought it was irresponsible. There's other things I'd like to invest in, particularly hiring journalists and running a company and putting it back into this operation. But I guess for regular working class people, they're not going to have these advantages or these opportunities. And I think I was just kind of shocked because, I did not see this coming to be, swatted down. So I want to get into, with that being said, the reason I bring that up is just to express my feeling of unease, weariness, confusion, and it just feels really weird. At the same time, I'm having this absurd difficulty getting a house. I'm seeing these stories from Vox and from Mediaite and from Business Insider. Don't buy a house. It's a bubble. You don't want to own property. No. It's a bad idea. Millennials regret it. Yeah. It's interesting. It's a really amazing thing. I mean, owning a house is fantastic. Your costs are cheaper per month than renting. Yet they're telling people not to do it.
When they say it's a bubble, that means if you buy the argument is if you buy a $500,000 house now, in a year it's going to be worth $350,000, and you're going to have a loan on it that's costs more than the value.
Yes.
I
so
see.
You can't sell your
stuff.
stuff.
But if you buy it at face value, it's going to be worth less, but it doesn't really matter because you already own the property.
I just really don't think that BlackRock and these other firms putting in 50% above market expect to lose that money.
I think they're going to try and flip it. I would imagine they're going to ride the inflation and then sell it and make money off it, or just rent it out.
No, they're turning them into they're converting a bunch of these into single family rentals.
Got it.
So we're dangerously close to the point where these large international investment funds own all the property. The property value skyrockets. You can't buy it, and then you become what's called a vassal. Do you know what a vassal is?
I am familiar.
So when the feudal lord would say, in exchange for this grant of land to you, you provide the landlord with some kind of service or function.
But at that point, only the landlord would be the vassal of the lord. You of the king. You would be the serf of the vassal. You wouldn't even have vassalage status.
Right.
I think one of the bad things about this is how, not just that this is bad what they're doing, but that I think a lot of people would find this to be ideal, right? I mean, we're looking at a time. We're looking at a time where a lot of people are acting like monads, right? They're individual units. Well, we're looking at the breakup of different things. If we see what happened during COVID, during the riots, right? Communities were attacked, right? We're looking right now at attacks on different parts of America, different parts of the country, desecration of our symbols, desecration of our history. It's like if you're telling people you shouldn't have families, your communities are bad, Your communities are stupid. Your communities are racist. If that's how you're attacking them right there, then aren't people going to say like, yeah, well, I don't know. Why do I want to own a home and help build this community? If people are telling me that having a community like this is bad, that it's racist, it's dumb, it's vulgar, it's whatever, why do I want to do this?
I think there's a real risk too. If you get a house in the wrong area, someone's going to come and smash it up, and then you're screwed.
That's a terrible thing.
But let me show you what Ben Shapiro said. So Ben Shapiro engaged in this story from the Wall Street Journal, saying, "I see many people are enraged at BlackRock. BlackRock is buying homes from people willing to sell them. If you don't like what they're doing, target the loose governmental policy incentivizing this sort of investment. Seriously, BlackRock isn't going to stop investing in single-family homes because you're mad on Twitter. But you could direct your energies towards stopping the Fed's insane monetary policy, which is driving down the cost of loans and creating a massive bubble. If BlackRock is willing to take the risk of leveraging up to buy single-family housing at above market prices, that's their prerogative. So long as they own the downside risk, no bailouts ever. And if you're mad at BlackRock and want to artificially prevent them from buying single-family homes, I'd like for you to explain to those who currently own the homes why you're taking money out of their pockets." So my first response to Ben's tweet, with respect, would be I wonder what his opinion is on Chinese nationals buying up homes from people above market. What's the difference between international investment firms who are taking away because of their ability to get access to federally printed money from the Fed, or from the Fed, Federal Reserve? They're artificially able to outcompete the middle class, taking away the middle class's opportunity for home ownership. But what about China? I mean, if someone comes to me and says, a Chinese national wants to buy my house for above market, I mean, I'm going to say no. I'm going to say I don't feel comfortable selling to foreign interests at a time when the middle class and the working class in my own country is hurting. If we actually in this nation had scruples, then people who own the homes might be like, I am not going to sell to this massive investment firm. In fact, I've talked to people who have told me they were selling, and they were saying that they're going to make sure it doesn't go to any one of these big corporations for above market, and they only want to sell to American working families.
Well, we used to make movies about this, right? This is the kind of thing that used to be the heart of American popular culture, right? You made movies about what it's like to have a community, what it's like to have a film. This is essentially what It's a Wonderful Life is about, right? Why is it a great town? Because George Bailey stuck around and he allowed them all to. He allowed the working classes to build a home. When it became Pottersville, it was this horrible, vulgar town, prostitution and gambling and stuff like that. That's an important thing. And what's weird is how many people, I'm not going to say in the right, but how many Americans generally, how many American thought leaders, intellectuals have missed what's been going on over the last 4 years, how some of these arguments have shifted, right? Do we want a market? Do we want a country? What does it take to have a country? What does it take to build communities? And if you're just going to talk about markets, then you're not going to have communities and you're not going to have a country.
It's a good point, man. I don't like using the heavy hand of the law unless after great debate, maybe we do, but maybe it should be illegal for these firms and investment firms to buy property if there's a human trying to bid, like an American citizen trying to make a bid, or a foreign national buying it out.
Here's the inverse. We saw in 2008 the government was saying you had to give out loans to these families who often couldn't afford to pay back these loans. And then when the loans went bad, they tried stuffing them into mortgage-backed securities, trying to find some way to make duds into something valuable. And the whole system just broke apart. A lot of the criticism was, well, when the government forces people to lend to people who clearly can't afford houses, the housing market explodes. Well, BlackRock can certainly afford to pay for these houses. Maybe these people should be renters, I suppose, right? I certainly don't think so. I think people should have access to homeownership. The difference here is it's the other extreme. Coming in and telling a middle-class person who can't afford the house, we're going to spend an extra 50% on top so you can't buy it, is not the same as mandating someone be given special access to loans they can't afford.
I agree. I would like to clarify this whole 2008 crisis a little bit. So they loaned out to citizens, just regular people. They made loans to them. Then the people, when they had trouble paying it back because of what? Inflation?
These people, it was people with in many instances bad credit, had no business owning a home, but they were given these no money down loans with high interest rates.
And then when people couldn't pay them back, they started to default on the loan, and so they packaged the debt into other things and then sold those to investment firms.
Yep.
There was something sinister going on about the process because a lot of people were kind of a lot of people knew it was sort of a racket, and a lot of people were making money and doing a lot of bad things that hurt not just the economy but the country.
So now
the world.
It sounds like they're using that as an excuse to not loan people money, instead going the safe route by just loaning it to big corporations.
Well, I suppose authoritarianism is always the safe route, I guess.
Right.
When you have despotic control of a nation and you can oppress and strip away the rights and resources from the working class, so long as you have a good psychological manipulation apparatus, which I guess we do, sort of, then you got nothing to worry about.
Definitely. I mean, that's what the press is. I mean, this is what the press has been doing for, at least 5 years now.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
amazing where it's like, journalism today is like, make the biggest lie. Brian Stelter, wow, does that guy lie like nonstop, and lick the feet of Jen Psaki in that horrible interview. That's the media is these days.
I feel like we're about to transition our government into like a more democratically decentralized system, like a legit system. I've been studying the development of the Greek democracy, 500, 600 BC. And basically the Greek farmers were paying a sixth of their food to their local landlords, and they couldn't afford the debt. So they were putting their own freedom up as collateral. It used to be legal to, you could say, you can take my family as a slave or me as a slave if I can't pay back the debt. They couldn't pay back their debts, or they couldn't pay their taxes, basically. So they were conscripted into slavery. And what was happening was Athens realized if they needed to call up a military, they couldn't, because these people were all unburdened by debt. So they were going to get taken over from the outside because their people were just wrecked. So they had to dispel all the debt. All that 1/6, they freed all the slaves. I mean, they made drastic changes to their system out of necessity, because they were going to get taken over by a foreign power if they didn't. We need to be able to rely on our citizens to have strength, willpower, and the ability to mobilize.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to see the full show, come back to this channel, youtube.com/TimcastIRL, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., where you can leave comments and super chat, and we actually will read your comments on the show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you want exclusive members-only content, segments you can't get anywhere else, go to timcast.com, become a member, and we even have full bonus episodes. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.